Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm just pulling up our agenda here. I'll be with you in just a moment. Okay. Kevin, can you see the agenda? Okay, you're on mute. Okay. All right. Thank you all for joining today's call. This is the KubeStellar community meeting for Thursday, May 29th, 2025. Yes, we're all here and present to learn more about where the KubeStellar community is headed. All right, so because we are proud members of the CNCF Sandbox Initiative, we abide by a few rules and a contributor code of conduct. But before I read that, just some basic things here I just wanted to point out. For those of you that are looking for meeting invites, we don't hand out meeting invites. That's automated for us. Go to kubestellar.io/join us. You can either use join_us or join us. You'll be taken to a Google Groups page where you can accept and join the Google group. And once you do that, you have access to all of our documents and you get a handy dandy invite every 2 weeks for our community meeting, like this one. So again, we do not manage documentation permissions directly, and we don't manage invitations directly. That is done by a Google group, and you must go to kubestellar.io/join us to gain access to that by joining that group. Okay. You can find this and other community meetings as well as other things that we've done in the community on kubestellar.io/TV. That's right. You just go to /TV for us, and you'll be taken to our YouTube channel where we have all of our community meetings and any other special events that we might be holding. Okay. This specific agenda is at kubestellar.io/agenda. Please go ahead and scroll down to the agenda and add topics as you see fit. We'll do them in order that they appear. Please try to respect the order that they've been given, and we'll get to you in the timely manner. All right. So let's go ahead and.
Yeah, Andy, on that topic, I see
Yeah.
Rupam asked in chat for something to be added. Rupam, is that because you can't add it yourself?
Yeah, I can add. So I am giving you the link in the chat.
Yeah, you can just add it directly to the agenda, Rupam.
Oh, I can add the agenda.
Oh yeah, okay. You type it right in.
Okay, I will do that.
Yeah, go to kubestellar.io/agenda. That's this page. Okay. All right. The contributor code of conduct. As contributors and maintainers in the CNCF community in the interest of fostering an open and welcoming community, we pledge to respect all people who contribute through reporting issues, posting feature requests, updating documentation, submitting pull requests or patches, and other activities. We are committed to making participation in the CNCF community a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of level of experience, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, disability, personal appearance, body size, ethnicity, race, age, religion, or nationality. That little spiel there just means please be nice to each other. It's a general good rule of thumb in today's world, isn't it? Okay, so with that, today's meeting, Thursday, May 29th, 2025. We have if you're an attendee and you'd like to opine and put your name on this list, we'd love to have you there. Please do so. Okay, so what are we going to tackle here? So we got a couple things going on. We've got a bunch of things in the agenda I just wanted to go over. So KubeCon North America in Atlanta, we will have a presence there. We have put in CFPs. We will look to take part in the Project Pavilion as well as in the lightning talks. So this is now closed. The CFP is closed. CFP is closed. The co-located events or the co-hosted events, this is co-located. CFP is now open until June 30th. This specific portion of KubeCon takes place the day before the main event, so November 9th, and the main event is November 10th to the 13th. You can double your chances of becoming part of the show if you you can put up to 2 talks that you're a part of. You can submit them on your own behalf. You can submit them on behalf of KubeStellar if you feel so that you would like to present something on behalf of KubeStellar or KubeFlex, Galaxy, or KubeStellar UI. we'd love to have you as a co-presenter or support you in your own presentation of your own creation. So let us know if we can help you out with that. Open Source Summit takes place June 23rd to 25th. I'll be giving a talk for interns for open source with, I'll be co-presenting with Professor Leong from Valencia College. He has in the past and in the present has offered students to help us out with different aspects of KubeStellar, both the UI and the main project. So this is fantastic to have a co-presentation of this, and we'll give you an update on that after that event's concluded. The KubeStellar UI update, we just had our first release. There, I just wanted to give everybody a quick show of what that looks like. So I'll log out really quick here. So of course the pretty user interface is just more than just a pretty user interface. We had 6 interns over the summer create this for, over the spring semester, create this for us in about 2.5 months. We now have a pretty comprehensive UI solution. You have remote clusters, or what we call managed clusters that you can manage directly.
Workload execution clusters.
Thank you very much, Mike. Workload execution clusters. Thank you. And you, labels are first and foremost a big part of what we do here at KubeStellar. You don't know why we use labels? Well, I got to tell you to read the manual. I'm not going to go into it here. You get to view details about the clusters, edit the labels on them, detach them from other things. We have a fantastic looking homepage at this point in time. We're using presently some Google algorithms as to how to calculate the health of a given cluster or a set of clusters. This will be changing soon to direct metrics from the clusters. You can see things like CPU usage, memory usage, pod health is calculated as well, how many clusters you have, the capacity of each of those clusters. I happen to be using Rancher, and Rancher I've given 10 CPUs and 20 gigabyte of memory, so you can see that it hasn't really delineated that any one given cluster gets all of that or none of that. So it's just something that's a part of this. And then of course any recent activity. We have a command palette. This is a really interesting little UI up here. This is something that you're used to if you use VS Code. You can traverse VS Code using things like this. This is pretty cool. This will be used in the future for other types of things that we're doing. And right now it's just kind of a proof of concept. Once you have created your clusters, your WECs are added, then you would stage your workloads. This is representative of what we call WDS, or workload definition spaces. And these spaces here hold inert or workloads that do not have pods or jobs associated with them.
Denatured is probably what you wanted to say.
Denatured, yes, thank you. Denatured workloads, and these denatured workloads don't have pods or jobs associated with them. The reason why, you don't want pods or jobs working in the main KubeStellar cluster. You want them working in your remote clusters or your WECs, your workload execution clusters. That's where they should work. So right here is where they get staged. You can look into each one of these. What I like is this little feature here now is that we've got is as a label appears, it will highlight where that label is also found inside other objects. So if you're looking at, let's say, the Apache 2 label, that Apache 2 label appears on all the objects in this specific area. And you can know that at some point when you reference the Apache 2 label, it will be used to deploy all of the workloads components, not just some of them. Binding policies are also another key component of KubeStellar. As each one of these policies are built, we now have the ability to click and put these policies together a little bit easier than writing YAML sometimes. And some of you might prefer using YAML, that's fine. But I can target specific clusters, or I can target groups of clusters based on labels, and then I can deploy workloads to those clusters. And in doing so, I can say deploy Apache to all clusters. I'll name that my policy. I'll go ahead and apply that policy. And then on my remote clusters, I'll now see eventually is Apache will start to show up here. So that's the general workflow. You define your remote clusters. You stage your workloads on the local KubeStellar cluster, the WDSs. You bind those workloads to remote clusters, and then you can view your deployed workloads on those remote clusters. And you can see they're starting to pop up here now. Okay, so that's the general gist of the UI. You have the ability to also import clusters. This import cluster was influenced by OCM. Thank you very much, folks over there. You can simply grab a cluster and it will walk you through the onboarding of the cluster step by step. It'll automatically transfer the necessary information to exchange keys and certificates in order to include that cluster in your listing. So that's the general gist of the KubeStellar UI. Very proud of this work. The team worked very hard over the course of about 8 to 10 weeks and culminated in the release 1.0 of this, I think, an incredible user interface. Our next steps here are to create KubeStellar as an MCP, or Model Context Protocol endpoint. We're also going to have a plugin setup where a menu where you have different plugins, things like backing up your KubeStellar environment, things like onboarding, things like doing, let's see, all kinds of things, CI concerns, continuous integration or continuous delivery, any kind of plugin. You can check out KubeStellar/Galaxy for examples of things that are right now solely in definition YAML, but will eventually wind up represented in the UI in some dynamic plugin manner. Any questions on the UI? Okay, great. Okay, so term 2 of the Linux Foundation internship, we had 6 projects accepted there. In total this summer, between the Google Summer of Code, our partnership with Cornell, and our partnership also with Georgia Tech, and these 6 projects for the LFX, we will have a total of 12 interns working together with us on various projects. And just to go through them really quickly, the design system foundations for KubeStellar, this will take a closer look at all the properties in KubeStellar. And this includes the website and the user interface for their consistency, use of color, use of design, and make recommendations as to how to adjust them accordingly to make our project and our product and our solutions look comprehensive and consistent. This will be a very interesting. I can't wait to see the results of this. Let's put it that way. Kevin, who is on the call here, will be one of the mentors, along with another person from outside of KubeStellar who's agreed to work with us, named Andrea Velasquez, and they will both be running this project this summer. Okay. Second project, building a marketplace for KubeStellar plugins. As I showed you in the user interface just a few minutes ago, there will be now the ability for you to design your own additional plugins for multi-cluster management using the KubeStellar user interface. That'll all be accomplished using the dynamic inclusion of plugins. We've got a whole bunch of candidates and applicants that are right now furiously working at trying to build out a code exercise or complete a code exercise to show what their proposal might look like for this. Some of the initial responses are very promising, and so stay tuned for more information on this. These plugins will not only affect the back end of KubeStellar, but also be part of the front end of KubeStellar. So you can imagine all kinds of different permutations and combinations of both graphical and Kubernetes definitions to accomplish interesting tasks. The third item is implementing a model context protocol for KubeStellar as an MCP server. This would create KubeStellar as a proper MCP endpoint and would then allow it to be used as an agent for GPT. So you could imagine you could go into your favorite GPT tool like Claude, Anthropic, or let's say drawing a blank right now, ChatGPT, and you could ask it to do certain things, and one of those instructions might be to add a cluster to KubeStellar, might be to add a cluster to your multi-cluster environment, even something as abstract as that, and would instruct KubeStellar to do such a thing, and maybe even go so far as to deploy a specific workload out to several of the clusters based on some filter. So you can imagine all the types of things that might be possible using KubeStellar as an agent in GPT expressions. Okay. The fourth project is KubeStellar UI Enhancements and Marketplace Integration. We'll be creating a proper marketplace to host the plugins. Some of that will be what you see today in KubeStellar/Galaxies repo. These UI enhancements will be taking cues from the design system, as well as things that we've already expressed as a part of the bigger picture that we might want to implement. The marketplace will be a place for central location for all the plugins, as well as getting, experimenting and also bringing light to the partnerships that we might have with other third parties. The next internship is extending KubeFlex with a new type of control plane. This new type of control plane will allow for multi-tenancy inside KubeStellar. There are a number of multi-cluster projects that are out there in the CNCF. Some are sandbox, some are incubating. We'd like to take a lead in that space by not only offering the ability to deploy workloads to multiple clusters, but to do so in a way that is multi-tenant aware and respects RBAC. This would be a very interesting project. We look forward to completing this one, and I think it'll give us a leg up amongst the other multi-cluster players in this space. The next internship is to reduce the reliance on kubectl initContainers in the core chart. We are looking forward to cleaning up and making better use and more efficient use of the Helm properties that we have for our specific project. This will take I believe that there's some really good ideas floating around about how we can do this, and I think it'll make our project easier to consume, and anything we can do to do that is really time well spent. Rupam has opined, given his specific proposal. So this is something, thank you Rupam for adding this. So if anybody would like to check out one specific proposal for accomplishing this, you can go ahead and click on that link. Thanks Rupam. Okay, in the GSOC, we have the Google Summer of Code. We have an intern that has started with us. They'll be using Grafana to reflect the results of benchmark tests for KubeStellar. If you want to read more about that, click that link. I'll talk a little bit more about Cornell in a little bit, and I haven't yet put anything down about Georgia Tech. I owe that, and I'll be talking more about that in future calls. Okay, any questions about our internship? We're in the process of selection for some of these. In others, they've already been selected and have started moving. We're about 50% right now selected for the total of 12 interns we have. The additional 6 will be selected over the next week or two. Okay. All right. We have our latest release. It's the 028.0 Alpha 2. It's a test release, and we've now gotten to the point where we're at Kubernetes 1.30. 1.31, of course, is on the horizon. Our testing infrastructure has been upgraded to 4.18 for OpenShift. Mike, is that 4.18? Is that 1.30 or 1.29?
4.8 OpenShift 4.18 is Kubernetes 1.31.
Oh, it is 31. Okay, great. Okay, so we even have the opportunity now to move to 1.31 in short measure. Well, I'm probably misspeaking there. It's probably grossly understated what the effort is to do that, but we'll be moving towards that.
Yeah, well, the issue is I think we should make right now the latest regular release of KubeStellar is on Kubernetes 1.29. So we should get a regular release, I think, on Kubernetes 1.30, and then we should be able to proceed expeditiously to 1.31.
Gotcha. All right. So something like a 0.29 or something, a full release, or 0.28 full release?
0.28 is the next regular release.
Okay. Very good. Okay, great. And so, yeah, so you'll see us moving towards 1.31 in the near future. I believe we've moved up from F to D rating for our vulnerability. We're still making improvements there. So continue to watch that. We're looking to try and get into the A, B, or C range at some point in the future. It's not so easy. There's a lot of things out there that get in the way of doing this, especially different versions of things like kubectl and underlying images for other things that we include in our code base. All right.
Andy, you have a question in the chat.
Yes, question. I will look in the chat. 1 second, folks. Oh my, I can't even see the chat. I don't even know where the button is for the chat. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, there's the chat button. Okay, got it. Join late. So there are 2 internships for 1 project. No. Thanks, Himanshu. Himanshu, let me explain. For each of the projects that the LFX offers us, each of those projects gets 1 intern per. So there is 1 intern candidate that we will need to select for each project. In the past, we wanted to do like 6-to-1 ratio. That's not allowed. So each one of those projects represents 1 intern. Thanks for your question, Himanshu. Okay, let's carry on. Bradley, you want to give us any updates on long run test and scale test? Was Bradley on the call? I don't think so.
So I don't think so. Okay.
Oh, there he is. Yep, got you.
Okay, great. Thanks. So I was expecting for the latest release. So to start to revise my PR 2026. So that I don't have too much update so far.
Okay. All right. Next up, the integration with Argo CD. Franco, do you want to comment or give any color on that? Is Franco on the call?
Sorry,
He's
I
here.
could not. I'm here. I just had trouble with the unmute button. I think we can close this, right? That's been completed. There is some improvement that Rupam is trying to incorporate into this, but as stated here, right? It's merged. It's done.
Okay, so let's get rid of that. All right. So thank you very much for that update. Okay. Prow migration. So this has been a thorn in our side for a little while now, but I think we're close. Mike, anything that you would add to this? On Prow, we're still missing things like updates to base images, right? What else are we missing?
Yeah, there's 2 items that I've identified. One is that the automation for updating the build, creating newer versions or creating build images is somehow not reacting. And the other is that there are links from the Prow status to logs or something. I forget exactly what, but there are some broken links in the Prow UI.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure how to dig that out of MinIO. It might be something in there, but yeah, that's a good point. There's also some periodics I think that are missing. Not working exactly as we'd like them to in some cases. Okay. And this is just in that jobs directory. Okay, good. All right, so let's talk. Okay, we've got I alluded to it a little while ago, but we've moved from a rating of F to D in the core Helm chart. So there are still more critical issues to explore and hopefully overcome. All right, and summarization. This has been here for a long time. Mike, any updates here?
No news recently. No, that's still an thing that's, on my plate or someone else could be working on.
Yeah, maybe that's something for the fall. Maybe you want to put together something for that. It's something to think of.
Well, it could potentially be included also in some of the work on the Argo CD because it's impacting the Argo CD usability.
Okay. Okay, something to consider. Good. Thanks, Franco. All right. Also on the plate, multiple simultaneous KubeStellar systems, hubs and spokes, cores and WEX. Those things are still we've got a lot of ideas going on about how to do this. I think now that we have a decent onboarding experience and something that's more graphical, of course, but automated to some degree, I think this might open the door for expansion here on this topic. I think the UI, and I'm not speaking for everybody on this call, but I think for most of us here at KubeStellar, I think it's true that a lot of people, some people are visual learners, some people like to read, and for me, I like when things are visually placed in front of me, and it helps me get a better understanding of how the architecture works underneath, or at least how the workflow is. And so I hope this helps get more people involved with the KubeStellar effort and multi-cluster in general. Yeah, Franco.
So can you comment or clarify what exactly it means to have multiple KubeStellar instances? Would there be multiple KubeFlex instances, or they would rely on the
Yes,
same?
this is about having multiple just independent whole systems. So multiple KubeFlex hosting clusters, complete, independent sets of WDS, ITS, and WEX.
Okay. And what's the plan or the high level view of the cluster resources that are required by KubeFlex?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So, well, KubeFlex has some cluster level resources. So having multiple instances, you will be sharing those resources, or those will have
No,
to
I
be
said
completely independent?
multiple. I'm talking about multiple KubeFlex hosting clusters, separate KubeFlex hosting clusters. Imagine you're someone who is maintaining just multiple whole systems. So, I at least have had this problem. Maybe nobody else has had this problem, but we have these triples of test clusters, and we have multiple triples of test clusters. And I also make my own testing setups on my laptop using our demo setup stuff and our end-to-end testing, right? So I've got multiple whole systems that have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, in some places in computer science and enterprise computing and enterprise software, some people refer to this as the manager of managers. It's the ability to rise above the single instance of KubeStellar and have multiple instances of KubeStellar environments running. So you can think of it as multi-cluster squared, almost a multi-cluster of multi-cluster, or multi-KubeStellar of multi-cluster management. And so the ability to be aware of other KubeStellar environments that exist in an enterprise, or maybe it's even in the cloud, might be powerful. We haven't really...
It's not just awareness. We have this nasty habit of renaming context in my kubeconfig file. So the problem is, if I have multiple whole independent systems in my kubeconfig file, well, I can't, because we have some very opinionated stuff that goes on in the kubeconfig file.
Yeah.
So it's a kubeconfig management issue, not in cluster deployment issue.
Right. I think all the opinionated stuff we do in the kubeconfig file with renaming context and so on is not really necessary. It's not an essential part of what we do. It's just a convenient habit that we've developed, but it has become, solidified, enforced in some bits of code and scripting. So having this unnecessary thing that is a little bit overly opinionated in some cases is the pain point.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I have to go to my next meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. All right, just a quick note on, is that helpful, Franco?
Yeah, I think it clarifies. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So another note on the Cornell SDF program, so software defined farm. The folks at Cornell, I believe, have submitted a talk for KubeCon that could also be considered a poster, and it will be talking about the use of Coco and KubeStellar together. Coco is for confidential containers. This is the ability to keep a model safe from having its contents spread to other places or moved around without other people's knowledge. It gives you basically an audit trail to keep track of the idea that the model does not escape the environment for which it was intended to run in, or what we would consider what they call an enclave. So that about wraps up today's discussion. So we can open up the floor for questions or comments at this time, if anybody has any or would like to add anything to the agenda.
Hello.
Hi, Rupam.
Thank you. So I was asking about the KubeFlex operator. Means there is some suggestion that can we migrate to KubeFlex operator to KubeFlex? I think that is the solution. So what team is thinking on this?
Franco, you want to handle that?
So I think I'm gonna be working with you on that. I think we should be scheduling a meeting to review the content of the proposal to decide how to proceed.
Yeah.
But I would like to have a mic on the meeting, so that's why. For Paolo, I can try to.
Did you think on which day we can meet up or something like that?
Yeah, Rupam and Franco and Rupam, I think it would be great for you to connect and discuss the proposal further, and as Franco suggests. So, and I believe Mike wants to take part in that meeting as well. So Rupam, look for a meeting invitation coming to you from Franco and Mike in the coming days.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rupam. Rishi of the KubeStellar UI fame. Thank you, Rishi. You're up next. Go ahead.
So I want to suggest about that multiple KubeStellar cluster one. So in Argo CD, we got project structure for we can do the same for KubeStellar, right? We can select the KubeFlex cluster and treat it as a project. With that, we can manage multiple KubeFlex clusters.
Yeah. There's the surface level changes or things that, like Mike was saying. Right now, what Mike is using, I know Mike's environment somewhat. He's using, what he does is he installs KubeStellar multiple times on different clusters. And so we have access to a host of OpenShift clusters because we work at IBM. We have access to cloud.ibm.com. This would be the same if you've put multiple clusters in, let's say, OCI. And so Mike uses the multiple different clusters to test different environments or test different scenarios. And so what happens is when you install KubeStellar with the current scripting that we use for our demo scripting, most people are directed to use this as a matter of, making it easy to use or easy to introduce KubeStellar. The drawback to that is that the script that we use to create the quote unquote demo environment does renaming of contexts inside your kube config. So things that would just have a long, let's say, name for the cluster would be shortened down to ITS1 or WDS1. And you can see that very quickly, for the second cluster that you would introduce using that demo environment script, you would overwrite ITS1 and WDS1 and therefore lose the context for your initial cluster. So running the demo environment script multiple times would corrupt your kube config. You would only have the context from the last time you ran the demo environment script. You get where I'm going with that, Rishi?
Yeah, I also faced the same issue when I was creating the Helm chart for KubeStellar UI. The ITS cluster was named as V cluster, so I have to run a bunch of scripts to change it. And yeah, for that, and now the main problem with Helm chart is, suppose we onboard a new cluster, right? So I did it with initContainer, and there is no way to add the config of the currently onboarded cluster. So that was the main issue I was facing with the LM chart for KubeStellar UI.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an issue that we're facing. So it's something that we have to eventually overcome, and because we've essentially made the problem ourselves in trying to make it easier to use KubeStellar. This is a typical growing pain, and we'll have to overcome it. So Rishi, the initial thought is how do we back away from making these opinions in the code. The second step is, okay, well, how do we take that further and allow people to do multi-KubeStellar environments or multi-KubeFlex environments, right? How can they manage them? So that's the natural outcropping of that movement. Does that satisfy your question, Rishi, or your comments? Thank you. Renew, you're up next.
Yeah. Hi. It was just a quick question that follows up Richie. You say that the problem was that on the kube config, if you apply the strip a certain time, it will just erase and override the context.
Right.
Have you thought about changing the context name when we apply a certain time? Is that a hotfix that has been thought about?
Yeah, it sounds like a simple one. It sounds like might be the natural next step, but I think it would be good to open a discussion to figure out, if that's the way that we want to proceed, if that's the long-term fix or if that's just something short-term. Yeah, it's up to you all to decide, right? So yeah, start a discussion on it.
Okay, because why I asked this question is on the KubeFlex project, we have started some works on the context command due to my concern about, I think, something similar. So we have implemented more possibilities on the context command. So now the context can be renamed. We can define custom name. And on top of that, we have some metadata attached within your kube config. So if you install two components, they won't have, they might have the same context name, but thanks to the metadata, it will have a unique control plane. So yeah, this is a new thing that has been implemented, but we haven't talked about it, I believe. But perhaps this is also something we can explore during the discussion. At least on KubeFlex, this is what has been done.
Excellent. You know what? It would be great if you want, for the next community meeting, if you want to give us all a demonstration of what you've been working on, that would be fantastic. Put it yourself on the agenda for next time, if you don't mind.
Sure. I can take a look at that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the update.
Yeah, of course.
Excellent work. Good to see you again. Rupam, you're up next. Did you have a question?
Yeah. Actually, I think my question is specific to Franco. So as we install the Argo CD, what could be our default namespace? It's KubeFlex system or the default? Basically, when I add the Argo CD, means Argo-CD to Argo CD, it was default. But at the particular point of time, what happened that if we did not mention the namespace and delete the Helm chart and try to reinstall, there might be possibility to Helm does not delete the all resource and there might be some orphan resource stays. So that's how I get the error, and I propose that to specify the specific namespace like KubeFlex system. So what is the team's view on that?
Franco is probably our most advanced and most opinionated on this subject. Franco?
Right now, we do not specify namespace when installing the core chart because some of the component, primarily KubeFlex, desire its own namespace. And if you specify the namespace, some of the resources may go in places that we cannot fully predict. Now, initially, I was pushing for KubeFlex to be installable in a user-defined namespace, but Paolo thought there was just an extra complication that was not needed. And it's one of the reasons why we cannot install more than one KubeFlex at a time in the same cluster, right? That's why I was asking at the beginning. So I think at the moment, there is a way to specify a namespace for Argo CD, which is not KubeFlex /system or default, but there are some issues with it that we can discuss separately. But so at the moment, I don't think it's a particularly good idea to install Argo CD in the KubeFlex system because it's not the right place anyhow, right? Either we put it in its own namespace, or we should put it in the KubeStellar namespace, which currently is default.
Yeah, thank you. That really makes sense to do that, because for me, I can use the Argo CD interface and also that, but I have to look into that more so that I can relate the problem more and more.
So the Argo CD chart takes a value for a namespace where it will be installing itself. However, that namespace needs to exist and requires to create a high priority pre-create hook in the KubeStellar chart to ensure that namespace. So that's why there are some complications. There is a competition on the pre-create hooks. So at the end, I thought it was risky to do it that way. So that's why Argo CD is not installed in the Argo CD namespace, which is the typical more clean approach.
Yeah, got your point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rupam. Okay. We have a question in the chat from Himanshu. Thank you, Kevin, for pointing it out. So Himanshu, there was a coding exercise manifest and lots of detail that was sent out by Rishi. Did you receive that? Himanshu, you're on mute.
Actually, I told him to join that KubeStellar intern group at CNCF Slack. So everything about that plugin and project in detail was given over there.
Very good. All right, Himanshu. So yes, there's a detailed exercise that is very well explained. So go ahead and take a look. All right, great. So keep in touch with us. You're on the Slack channel. We'll get you hooked up with the right people and get you moving along. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Rupam, did you have another question?
Yeah, that's all for today.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, folks. Thank you all so much for joining our call today. If you have any further questions, comments, or things that you need elaborated on, please feel free to always reach out to us at KubeStellar-dev. We're part of the Kubernetes Slack organization. KubeStellar-dev is where we all hang out. Please throw your questions in there, and we'll be happy to respond back. Open issues, make sure you use the KubeStellar snapshot tool to help us debug where you might be in your journey. Okay. I see, Rupam, is your hand up again, or are we good?
No, I think it is for PBS. I have
it's
to.
Just stuck. No problem.
I didn't stop it. Sorry.
All right, very good. Hey, everybody, have a great week. We'll see you again all in 2 weeks. Hope to talk to you before then, though. Bye now.
Bye-bye.